This is the first lesson. You're going to open up this template on the drive, and this is what you'll see. You'll basically get this. It's got nothing on it except these headers. Firstly, I want to cover some shortcuts on your keyboard. Firstly, you can move around using these bars at the bottom. There'll be a bar here too. I didn't do this on a laptop, and so I've got the trackpad. I use 2 fingers and I just scroll left and right in the same way that you can scroll up and down usually. If that doesn't work for you, I apologize. Shortcuts. Most important ones I end up using are Control plus to zoom in, and you can get quite fine with that one, and then Control minus to zoom out. There's also, if you press V, that brings up the selection tool. It's V or escape. Another one is if you press Shift W, it brings up this preview sort of thing basically, and it will show you everything that's on the page without any guidelines and stuff. I will press Shift W again. So speaking of guidelines, let's go over just how to control them. On the right, you've got this panel. All you want is properties selected. You don't need any of these other ones, and nothing selected on the page, which you can do by just clicking off the page. And you can see here the size dimensions for, everything that's the literal pages. The margins, do not touch these. I've never touched them and it's worked out fine. And then we get to this bit. So the rulers you might find useful, you might not. I tend to just leave them on for the sake of it. The baseline grid, if we zoom in, the baseline grid are these lines going across, which basically act like the lines that you want to write on, where we'll align the text to when we get around to it later. And finally, you don't need this grid on. You don't need the squares. We just need probably the rulers, definitely the baseline grid. And then here we've got guides. We'll zoom out again because this will show you these. The guides are these 5, you see we've got 5 columns on each page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you turn this off, you can't see that. Those are the most important guides, to be honest. And that'll give you this margin, effectively. Don't make anything out of this box on each page. And then it'll give you these columns, which we'll align text to later. I wouldn't touch the lock guides and hide smart guides, because I don't know what they do. If they're off for you for whatever reason, make sure that your setup basically looks like this. So you can see we've got everything selected except the square grids. Moving on, we've got this top bar on this template that I've made. It's got a thing here, a text box for the page number. You need to change that when it gets around to using this template, if you use this template. We've got this long line. Then we've got this, which I'm going to call the section tab. It is comprised of 2 objects, which is a shape, which we can move around. Also, I assume everybody knows this, but some people don't. Control Z undoes on most programs, but you're going to be using Control Z a lot. Anyway, this is a grouped item, and you can tell because if I highlight it, you can see the dotted line around it. So then I click it, and I can move all of that. Control Z to put it exactly where it was. Do not move that. If you move it even slightly, I probably won't notice, and it'll fuck everything up. Just don't. Anyway, this is usually in your section color, and we'll get around to how to change that in a minute. And then template, you need to change that to your section name. Moving on, Forge Press goes here on the left page, and then we get to the right page. The day time format here is as written, day, date, month, year. So you'd say Monday the 18th of September 2022. You need to change that manually. And then another bit over here for the page number and this thing as well. And that is everything in this first lesson.